Whoa. Life's dynamite, shining through the city with a little funky soul. Light it up like dynamite. Whoa. Na, 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 light it up, dynamite. Dynamite. It's nice tonight. Hello, is someone there? Hello, hello. Like dynamite. Nice, nice. Hello, is someone there? Well, if someone is, I am just kicking back on a Saturday, prepping a new video. I haven't recorded in like 2 weeks because I injured my neck and all sorts of other stuff. It's just been a crazy 2 weeks and I haven't been able to do anything. Luckily, because of I had a lot of videos banked up, videos were still releasing, but I want to create some new content for YouTube and Udemy. I am been thinking and planning how I'm gonna film my new Udemy course, make it ready for 2021 with all the new content I need to have ready. So a lot of work on top of a full-time job, but at the same time, it's like super exciting. I just love doing this. This is like my therapy. So it's just nice to do all this kind of stuff. And I'm basically right now just editing a video I just made about, how to switch careers into being a business analyst, especially if you've got like no experience or anything like that. So I am now just doing the editing. Yeah, and also if you guys have any questions, feel free to just send a comment. So what I'm doing is, I'm working on courses, but I thought I'd turn on the live stream. So in case anyone has questions, I'm happy to just bring up Tableau and just solve some problems or anything you guys got questions on. Just sort of like I'm a open tutor in case anyone needs any questions asked. So let me just write, feel free to ask questions, and I'm happy to do demos or solve problems as I go along today. To DAO, according to my messaging. But it's nice to see some people here. And I think there is a bit of a time delay on YouTube Live in that I can't see the actual names that come up. But for whoever is there, thank you for joining. I am just editing some videos. After all these years, it's still weird to kind of see myself and do editing, you know? Maybe I'll add the audio. I'll add the audio here so you can see what I'm actually editing. I couldn't do, hopefully you guys can hear any that, advanced functions and stuff. I can maybe write some basic formulas. I can do fill downs. I didn't, from a career I spent almost 10 years on to becoming a senior business analyst with absolutely no experience. So let's begin. Yeah, so the reason I'm actually doing this video is someone contacted me on LinkedIn. It's not the first time I've heard the question, which is basically, I'm doing a career change. How do I get started, or how do I think about it? And it's not a simple question, because I found that, after all these years, to really succeed in your career, not just in analytics or anything like that, there's a lot more kind of emotional and stuff up here and in here, preparation and training you got to do. It's not just the technical. The technical is actually just a small part of trying to achieve your goals. A lot of it's just how you train your mind and your brain, and how you approach your life, how you solve problems, and all that kind of stuff. So this video was kind of on that, and it went for way longer than I thought. I thought it was going to be a 10-minute thing, but
So let me tell
I think
you
I
my
droned on a bit.
story. I'm gonna make this a quick one. Hopefully, I'm done in under 10 minutes. I started. Oh, I'm 33 now, and I
What
started
I'll
my
do is
career when I was age 9.
I might also just do a quick post to let everyone know we are live. Let's just do a hi all. We're live. I'm live. Join in on the Saturday Tableau Fun. Let's see. I'm good to go. Let's see. Let's replace this. I'm just going to make a quick image. You guys can kind of see all the work that goes into managing a Tableau, YouTube, Udemy, all the stuff that you got to do. Let's just say, let's go happy. Let's see, what's happy? Yeah, let's go. So I'll do this one. All right, we'll go like this. And one of the things I like to do is, if you want to see the background, let's go Tableau Live. Something that simple, right? Something like that. And then what we'll do is we'll go here, we make this darker, and we increase the transparency, and maybe make this like blue or something, or maybe white. White's always good. It doesn't need to be super pretty, just needs to be available. So we go download. Maybe I'll change this Tableau Live QA. Oh, geez, that's ugly. Tableau, oh, there we go, that's better. Maybe something like that. Tableau Live Q&A, I don't like the writing. Switch it to this one, which I'm always a favorite of. Tableau Live Q&A, and download. Very simple. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. No issue at all. And let's go image. Let's add that in here. And we are done. Post. Done. So that's that. 2380. That's climbing. So crazy. Yeah. All right, let's keep editing. Let's see how we go. All right, let's go. All right, keep editing. 19, and I was studying aerospace engineering. So what I want is, let's go back. So I want to kind of add some images as I go along with this video, just because, you don't want it to be just me there. Kind of gets boring. So I'm gonna go here. Just gonna grab some full scale pictures. I think this is 1920 by 1080, so we'll do a new one. Let's just do a post. Let's see how we go. So 1920 by 1080. So what I'll do is we'll adjust the size. Let's go custom. 1920 by 1080 is fine. Okay, and we're going to add an image. And let's go aircraft. Oh, no, upload. I want that. Let's go here. Let's go aircraft. Okay. Oh, that's cool. I never actually worked on this, but this would have been cool. Let's go add to background. Okay. And we just download. Okay. And then for here, we simply go. Started my career when I was age 19, and I was studying aerospace. So here we add an image. Oh. So this is the tool I actually use to make the videos that you guys see. I'm actually thinking of upgrading it to Adobe Premiere, I think it's called. So still trying to decide if it's a good thing to do. So we'll see. So let's go My Files. This summer I'm alone. Good to that. Good to go. Okay, so it's probably this one. Okay. When I was age 19 and I was studying aerospace engineering, I did my advanced diploma, then my bachelor's degree, then my graduate certificate, and then, hey, ready? How are you today? And then eventually I was doing my PhD. So you can see that. Let's replace this with, let's see if we can find the PhD image. Nope. Let's say studying. Okay, gonna do my. It's funny because none of these pictures depict my state of mind when I was doing my PhD. It's kind of more like it's like mental institution where you just like you've lost your mind. A PhD is one of the hardest things I think anyone could possibly do. Obviously, there's some hard things in life, but that was the hardest thing I ever had to do, and I couldn't finish it. It was so damn hard. It was so hard. You know, it was so crazy. Um, Ready? How to prepare for Tableau certification. Oh, yeah, cool. I was actually working on that a while back. Let me go here. Um, so Tableau certification, there's like 4 types from memory. So if we go in here, Tableau certification. I actually helped a friend of mine do this a while back. So the one you're interested in is most likely the special. It's a specialist. I'm trying to remember which ones they are now. We're not interested in these. These are server. Let's see. Tableau Desktop. Desktop 1 and 2. So it's probably not 3. Desktop 1 and 2. Specialist exam readiness. I'm trying to remember which one of these 2 it is. Product, it's probably this. So if you go exam prep guide, all right, and you come down here, there's a second page. All this stuff, this is stuff you have to know for the actual test. And then there are some sample questions here on kind of how they ask you some of the questions, which I was actually preparing an entire thing to on Udemy. And with the upgrade to 2021 to my Udemy course, it's going to be all in there. Hopefully I have enough time to do something for YouTube as well. So, you know, if you don't want to buy the course, it's all good. But something to cover some of this as well. Because you know, I'm kind of doing Udemy just to, you know, extra cash to feed myself. But I really want people to learn how to use Tableau, and, you know, you could learn some of these. So you can start here and do this. For the Udemy course I did, it pretty much covers everything in here. Right, so it's sort of like if you can complete that course, you can pretty much do all this stuff, because this is kind of what the my course was actually based on, to making sure that, you know, whatever you learn, it's for this, but also for corporate applications. So you know, it's not just about knowing functions, but you can actually apply them in real life. Like all this stuff we can actually do. I suppose, let's have a quick look. Live connection, extract, meta properties, TDS. This was one I actually had to look up. I was like, what was this a while back? There's a special function when you go to the file menu, and it actually tells you. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to ask. Renaming a field, like a lot of these are relatively basic. Creating plots, creating sets, filter. I'm surprised context filter is actually here as a kind of, I guess this is intermediate-ish. Well, no, that's the thing. It sounds beginner-ish with a lot of this stuff, right? And then for some reason they added a context filter here, which I think that's more advanced, because that's more like a performance thing. When you have heaps of processing you need to do, you don't want to have to filter the entire data set. And it kind of comes into like independent filtering when you have multi-layer filtering, all that kind of stuff. Manual sort, bins, color. Ready. What I can do is, what's your skill level in Tableau? I can actually cover a lot of this relatively quickly, just as a quick kind of demo for today. Any Tableau practices available? Yeah, check out my Udemy course because that's kind of my main curriculum structure stuff. Let me see if I can find it. Tableau. So I'm not sure if you're already enrolled in this. Okay, let's see. This thing. So I'll put it in the chat. And hopefully you can see the chat. Yeah, you can see the chat there. So that's like my main Tableau course. But here, yeah, let's actually go through this. I suppose this will be interesting. I'm, more than happy to help you ready. So if you want to do this, let's do a quick Tableau thing, and let's go through some of this. So if you have some, oh no, screen recording. Don't worry, this is a live stream. You can just watch this again. So I suppose this will be the topic for today. Ready? Of how to cover a lot of these things in the quiz. So let's bring this up. I'll pause my my video editing for the moment. We can do that a bit later. And I'll just bring here this to the left. All right. So what I might do while we're here is I'm gonna change just the title of this live stream. Basic, we'll say basic training. Yeah, Q&A. Cool. All right. There we go. Okay, so, and we got 5 people now. So whoever is there, hello, hello, and welcome. This is kind of just a ad hoc on a Saturday, just having my coffee, and I'm having a small glass of water as well. So this is my glass of water. You can see it's very small. And all right. So what I might do is we'll go through kind of the first part here, which is, creating a live connection to a data source, explain the differences between live, extract. Okay, we'll go through all those connections. So let's say I have an Excel file, and we're going to make like just a simple Excel file. Actually, you know what? I've probably got a million I can choose from. So give me a second. We'll go find one. And I'll use the Superstore dataset, which is this one, but as an Excel file. Let's go here. I'm sure I have a version. Tableau course. Beginner. Where's the dataset? I'm sure I got one here. Here it is. Okay. And let's just check this. All right, so I've got a data set here. All right, and what I'll do is I'll just clean this up a little bit, and it's mostly so you can see the fields. Okay, and we'll just put a freeze pane here. All right, so I've got all these fields, great, and I'm going to connect this into Tableau. So I'm going to save this Excel file into downloads. We'll put it in folder. We'll put it in folder 3. Okay. So let's go downloads, Udemy, folder 3, and let's go in here. All right. So I've got a file here that I've prepped, which is the Excel file that you saw just a few moments ago. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that data set in. So I always like to just drag and drop like so. I'll just give that a second. Okay, just getting prepped. All right. You can see up here, and I haven't got my drawing tool because this is a live stream, but you've got live and extract. So what is the difference between live and extract? The difference is when you do an extract, right? And maybe I'll get my, we'll do this old school, back when I had when I didn't have all my fancy tools. So let's say I've got my Excel file here, and let's make this green, right? So I've got my Excel file here, and I've got my Tableau, which is here, right? So Tableau, Excel, okay? Now, when you're doing Tableau, you're constantly in a live connection, you're constantly feeding data here, okay? Which means, let's say I've got this sales forecast field right here. If I hit refresh, right, that's gonna go into the Excel file and give me the latest data. And if I bring up that file, let's call that sales forecast something else. Let's call it 2, and I save this. Okay, we'll give that a second. Okay, and it's a bit slow because even my computer knows it's Saturday.
right? Oh, right, it's a sharing violation. Because Tableau is connected to this. So what you have to do is you actually have to close this. Yes, yes, go away alerts. You basically have to close this in order to update this file, but it's constantly feeding. And when you're starting off in Tableau, doesn't really make a difference with live or extract. It starts to become an issue once you start talking about performance. So let's say it takes, a fraction of a second to load one row of data and you have 10,000 here. You're probably not going to notice a few seconds, but what if you had 10 million rows or 100 million rows? It starts to take a little bit longer. And whenever you have live, it's constantly calculating and extracting and computing. It takes a lot of processing power. So what we do, and I actually do this pretty much all the time, unless I am using pretty small data sets, which I rarely do, is I always go extract, which basically means if I go back to this image, it will take a screenshot, or not screenshot, like a snapshot of this data, converts it. Where's my drawing tool? Right, converts it into what we call a hyper file. Yes, correct, ready. Live is continuously updated data. That's right. So it'll convert it into a hyper extract, and hyper is I think they call it an engine. I think it's a format for Tableau that is very fast for Tableau. So it converts it into a Tableau type format. So let's go ahead and do that. So whenever you click extract, it pretty much goes like that, and you go sheet 1, and then it tells you, well, where do you want to save this extract, because it's now a file, and we just go save. And then it goes straight into sheet 1. This is an extract, which means if I modify this, right? If I modify this, nothing's going to happen because we're connected to the extract right now and not to the live data set, which means if I modify the live data set, right, I add a new row or something like that, I have to come back in here, go edit data set, right? And I got to hit this refresh button. That is different from this refresh button, I have found, right? So if you're ever wondering, it's like, well, how come I've loaded new data? It's a new fresh data set, but it's not updating. Just go in here, go edit data source, and hit that refresh button. All right. Okay, so going on to the next thing. So that's pretty much the basics of live extract. I'm probably not going to cover metadata properties because it's been so long since I've done that I don't want to say the wrong thing. But from memory, it's something in here that it exports as a version or something like that. So I won't do that at the moment. So we can do something, we can do joins. See, again, blends shouldn't be here, I guess, if it's like really basic. With version 2020, there's kind of two ways you can do a blend. And I've been kind of called out on this before as to what the real difference is. But there's the blend you do at the data source level. And then there's the blend that you do between connected data. So what I might do first is let's do a union or a join first. So let's say I go back into data source. I want to join this to something else. With version 2020, with the join, in order to do a join, you have to open this up first. Because let's say I'm loading up another data set. I'm just going to pick a random one from here. Let's pick this NBA player one. Yep. So I drop that in. Okay. And if I bring it in, you'll see that this curve, this is not a join. This is a blend, right? And a blend behaves differently than a join. So what you want to do is you want to open this up, right? You go open, and then you bring whatever you're joining with. And then the Venn diagram will come up, which is the traditional kind of join symbol of what you're going to join. We're going to say we're going to join it on, let's say you're bringing city data and city data, let's say city, and then something else with city in the data set. Okay, that's how you do your join, and then the different types of joins, which I probably won't go through here, right? Because it's really just a quick overview. So remove that. If you wanted to do a blend at the data source level, you would do it here once you get out of it. So let's say I'm doing MBA, you can do this. And I've been doing this a lot more recently. It took me a while to really figure it out. How to crack the Tableau interview. All right, yeah. So I've interviewed people for Tableau. I'll finish this join and blend one, and then I can talk about that quickly if you want. So I'm just going to answer whatever comes up and just kind of make going through this as the main content for today. So that's your join. And then for a union, for a blend, you do it outside. And then from here, you can click on this, and you can do whatever you're blending on. And what happens is, let's say I'm doing country all-star, which isn't going to work because these data sets aren't prepped anyway. If I go into sheet 1, what you'll notice is it's one connection. All right, so it's going to do an extract. That's great. It's actually one connection, but they're separated here. So they're all already kind of, I guess, pre-blended. That's one blend you can do. The other way is, if I come in here and get rid of this, remove this, right? So now we have a single connection for that. And if I bring the other one, let's bring that in here, I'm doing a secondary connection. We're bringing that in. I go back into my sheet. I've got two connections now, and I can do a blend at this level. So I can go data, edit blend relationships, right? And then select my primary, my secondary. I only got two in here, so it doesn't matter. The automatic kicks in when the field names are the same between the data sets. So let's say it's, player name in one data set and player name in the other. Usually it can recognize it. Otherwise, you go custom, and we go add, and then you select the thing you're going to blend in or blend on. Right? So that's how you do your blends. And lastly, we'll do the unions, and then I'll talk about the job interview stuff. Okay, so let's say I've got NBA player data here, and I'm adding another NBA player data. So I've got two, and I want to do a union. The simplest way is to grab and put it. Oh, hang on, sorry. Got to open this up. Grab it and drop it. Oh, sorry. No, my bad. You cannot union between two files, which is kind of an annoying limitation. What you actually have to do is you have to union within the same file, right? Or I think you can wildcard union from here. So we can go convert to union. Now let's see if I can add this. No, I can't see. So I can't add that in. So what I'll have to do is, like, let's say I go, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of this one. Remove. And I'm going to update this NBA players file. Okay, and I'm just going to duplicate the sheet. All right, so I got 1 and 2. Close this up. Okay, so now if I'm doing a union, I'm going to bring the first one in. We'll refresh the data set so we can see that second one. I'm going to open this up, drop this underneath. You can see that drag table to union is there now. And now we can union. So now they're stacked one on top of the other. That's basically how you do a union. If you want to do a wildcard union, you can go in here. And this is really good if you have like multiple sheets, multiple files, and you want to bring them all in one go. All right. So that's kind of like the next piece. So yeah, in terms of the Tableau interview, the way I actually go about like doing an interview or assessing if someone's fit for a job, Tableau's kind of one part. The other part is kind of like the attitude, the behavior, someone who's eager. I guess I can tell you what's... the thing is with interviews, it's like 20% skill and then it's like 80% your feeling about the person. So when I'm interviewing someone, it's kind of how I feel about that person on, can I teach them? Can I train them? Right? Are they willing to listen? Are they open to ideas and stuff like that? Sometimes when you interview people who've been in the industry like a long time, they can be a bit closed-minded, and they're so confident in their abilities that they think they know everything. And whilst they may know a lot of things, they don't know everything, just the same way as I don't know everything. So you always have to have an open mind, but you can usually tell the people who think they know everything, and those are dangerous people. So don't be like that. In terms of the Tableau interview themselves, usually it's a test to say, here's a data set, we want you to do this, right? They're not necessarily testing like, oh, can you achieve it? And that's great. What I'm interested in personally is, how do I go about solving a problem? How do they plan a solution? Because when I see a lot of beginners do is, I give them a problem and go, here, I want you to do this. And sometimes it's because I'm training them. I give them like quick trick questions or trick problems, things that sound simple, right? And they're so eager and so pumped to just solve it. They don't think about it first. So take your time, think about what they're asking you. And then just approach it bit by bit. Don't panic or anything like that. I suppose the hard thing about this is that every job interview is different. So it's like, it's hard to say exactly, but that's really what I'm assessing for. If this person has like a methodology on how to resolve a problem, even if they can't. And if they can't solve a problem, they say so. You don't have to pretend. I guess that's kind of the best advice I can give you at this point, you know, unless you have a very specific case. Hey Atal, how's it going? How can I activate Tableau on my system? Okay, yeah, that's very easy. So you got Tableau Desktop, right? So let me get out of this for a second. And what I'll do is I'll open a fresh Tableau. So let me guess, have you purchased Tableau or are you using the trial? I'll wait for Atal's question, then I'll answer yours already. So let's say you're using a trial version. Usually when you come in, there'll be a, you know, activate trial and you press that button. But let's say you've actually bought a license, you know, you've got a license key. What you do is once you've loaded up Tableau, you go help, right? Usually a screen comes up saying you need to activate Tableau. But if that doesn't come up, you go help, manage product keys. And from here, you go activate, right? And then that's kind of how you would go about activating your key, right? And then you're kind of ready to go. I would say as well that the Tableau license key for Tableau Desktop is the same one for Tableau Prep. Okay, so it's just use the same key. I think this trial version is ended. Yeah, you only get like 2 weeks. So after that, you need to buy it. And then when you buy it, if you do it through a company, usually it's all done through invoices and stuff like that. And then once they have it, well, I'll tell you the process. Someone goes to me, we need a license for my team. I contact my account executive at Tableau. They say how many, they raise an invoice, goes back to the company, they process it, goes back to Tableau, they get the money, they send me the license key, right? And then I give that to the person, they activate it. If you are the kind of the account manager for Tableau, there's also something called the Tableau Customer Portal, which means from there you can see all the license keys and all your users, and that's how you kind of manage your people. It's better to use other trialed ones. Yeah, one thing you can do, I don't know if it works though, is just keep using a different email. But I think because it's per software, maybe you can't do that. What is the maximum columns in Tableau report? So the default is 16, but I'll show you how to change that. So let's say I have Superstore. I think, no, sorry, the default is 6. The maximum is 16, I think. So let's have a look. So let's say I'm just going to pick a bunch of fields. So 1, 2, 3, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you'll notice it starts to bunch up at one point. So that's 7. Let's see. Let's go ship status. All right, so that's still going. Let's go city. No, maybe that's too big. Region. Okay, keep going. Country. All right. Ship status. Let's go profit. Let's go discrete. Put that there. All right. And if we go, what else can we add? Order ID. Okay, so it keeps going. And the way you would actually edit it is you would go analysis, table layout, advanced, and I think, oh, here we go. Oh, they've changed it. So it used to be, no, sorry, here it is. It's 16. I think the maximum is 16, or is it? Oh, they made it higher now. So I think originally it was 6. How much? Wow, it's 50 now. My bad. I thought it was still 16. I was wondering why it wasn't clumping up like it used to. Yeah, they must have increased it. I guess a lot of people were requesting that. So yeah, that's how you would change it if you start running into the issue. So what happens if you have, let's say, only 3? These start to concatenate. They start to group into a single one. And that's when you start getting problems. Yeah. That's what I'm doing. Is that how you tried to solve that issue? Yeah. My thing is though, like, you probably don't need, very rarely is it a good idea to represent it with that many columns. Like my thing is always like, if you have that many columns and it means you're not really maybe doing it visually. I'm really bothered by doing tables because the whole idea of Tableau is to do it via visual analytics, because that's kind of how that's how we're biologically designed to read information. It's actually takes much longer for a human to read
as a table as opposed to, like a pie chart or a bar chart. That's a lot more instinctual for us. So just have a drink out of my small glass. Okay, so maximum is 50, right? Yeah, with reference latest versions. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't even know about that 50. I guess it goes to show you I just don't build very big, visualizations. So I guess going back to the training, just keep the questions coming, guys, and I'll just kind of keep answering it as we go. So we've done these. Renaming a field, alias to a data, geographical role, data type, default properties. Okay, cool. So that's all we can do. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, we can do maps. I'll show you some cool things with maps. It's kind of part of this part anyway. So renaming a field, super easy. You can right-click rename, or you can actually press F2 on your keyboard, right? And you can go into rename. That's no problem. My availability for what would you like? Ready? Adding an alias. So that's an alias within it. So if I go in here and I go aliases, this is a really good way, instead of having to do like if, else, if equal to central, then write this, else if for here. Okay, cool. Yeah, so already, the live streams I've kind of been doing whenever. But more and more people are requesting me to do live streams moving forward. So I'm still trying to figure out when the best time is, how often during the week. And this morning I got a message from someone. I said, listen, I'm trying to figure out time zones. And they pretty much said, the hell with time zones. I'm in whatever time. So I was always concerned that if I do it at like 9 p.m. Australia time, that a lot of people may miss out, and I didn't want that. But I think, I might not have any other choice because I got a full-time job and everything. So I'm guessing maybe midweek or something like that I'll do. Yeah. So I'll send a notice out, and hopefully I'll have a regular schedule that every Wednesday or, every something I'll do a live stream if it's something you're interested in. Yep. Cool. So yeah, so I'll keep doing with this, and whoever is kind of interested, we'll just keep going. So from here, you want to change the alias, and basically at a core level, the data is still called central, but you can call it something else. So we can just say like shorthand centra, north, south. And that means when I go OK and I represent this as a data set, that's how it's represented. But at the base level for the raw data, it's still called the same thing. Okay. Geographical role to a field. So let's do that for, let's say, city. Okay, so I'm going to set it so that it's not a geographical role, right? So it thinks it's just a string. But what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, we want this to be geographical, so we go in here, string, that's all good, geographical role, and then you set it to whichever is the most appropriate. So in this case, it's city, and you see the little globe, and that's how you do geographical role. So pretty easy. This is kind of the same way. It's the same way also to change your data type. So if you come in here, click on this symbol, change your data type, or you can right click here and go change data type, and you can do it there as well. Okay. Default properties. All right. So I didn't learn this until actually much later. Let's say I've got profit, and what I'm going to do is I can see this one's already got a default property. So I'm just going to get rid of it for the moment. Okay, so usually what happens when you load up data, right? You've got profit, and you can see it's just a flat number. There's no currency, there's no decimals, there's no formatting on it. And the thing is, if let's say you've got multiple visualizations always using profit, you don't want to have to add the $sign via the formatting every single time. So what you can do is, thanks, Atal. Try to keep it up, man. Trying to keep it up. Oh, sorry. Wrong of me to assume you're a man, but thank you. And I'll keep trying to create as much content as I can. So here with the default properties, we can go in here. And what this does is every time you use it, it automatically has these properties. So this is a massive time saver. So I can go number format. I can go currency, 2 decimal places, $sign. I can even say thousands of units. That way, anytime I use it, it's always got that same formatting, right? So massive time saver. Okay, now here's the fun part, the visualizations. Okay, so I'll show you kind of my tips and tricks on how to actually do these particular types of visualizations. So the first one is a bar chart. The easiest way for bar chart is always with the measures first. Okay, so let's say I'm doing sales, right? That's a bar chart, done. And then what I do is I split it up. And the reason I do this is because before I get to Tableau, I probably already know what the total value is for whatever field I'm using. This is really a validation so that I know that when I go further, I know that I'm splitting the right data, because if I know the number is 3.5 million and I get to this first step and it's 2 million, I know there's already something wrong. If I go about the visualization and do this step loss, it's hard to see that, right? So it's like a quality check kind of inbuilt into your method, right? And then from there, I can split it up with dimensions. So we go category. How should we connect? We can just do it via YouTube. So anytime you have comments or anything you want me to cover, I read all the comments that come through and reply to them. And if there's videos you want me to cover, topics you want me to cover, simply just write a comment and I'll add that to the list. I think I'm sitting at like 77 videos I have to film at the moment. So there's a lot of work ahead, but I'm working through them. And yeah, if anything you need help on, feel free to ask. I'm here to support you guys, right? So that is basically the bar chart. How do I create a line chart? So line charts, they're pretty much based on time. So again, I like to start with, again, the measures. So let's say sales. And then let's say time. There's kind of two ways you can go about this, because you have discrete time and then you have continuous time. So if I right click and drag this, all the blues are discrete time, all the greens are continuous time. So what's the difference? Well, if I go year, okay, you can see it's already a line chart, but if it's not, just ensure that this one is set to line. And that will make it you always get lines. So from there, if I add this, if I click this plus button, it splits up, but you can see everything gets separated. If I keep going, it actually keeps going, right? And once it gets really, really wide, you can see it's taking up heaps of space. So what a continuous one does is it doesn't split them up like this. If I go all the way back, if I switch this to year, right, that still looks the same, but it's actually continuous. If I can do quarter, right, you can see it's a continuous line. It's not being split up. So if I keep going further, you can see month, and I'm adding more and more granularity as we go on until I get eventually to days, right? But one thing you can do is you can actually combine continuous and discrete together. So if I drop this discrete here, I can do year, and I can actually split up that continuous one using a discrete split. So a little bit of a trick. Okay, so how do you do a scatter plot? Okay, that's super easy. Scatter plot, you always start with two measures, right? So the way I like to do it is, let's say I'm doing sales and profit. I can double click profit, double click sales, and you'll always end up with 1 point because everything is aggregated. So what you want to do is you want to split that up with something, right? This is where your detail field comes in. So I can go, let's say I want to see all the cities. I can drop that here, and that's how I get my scatter plot. I can change the granularity. Let's say I want state, right? Or I want something else, right? So let's say I want it by category. I can drop that in detail. And once you want to start formatting this, then you can start using the other marks cards to do whatever formatting you want to do. Okay. A map using a geographical data set. Okay, yeah, this is easy. So whenever you have a geographical data set, or whenever you want to do maps, make sure you have a geographical data set. So for example, you have, globes here, and make sure these are set to something. And once you have that, make sure you have a clear sheet, and you just double click. That's pretty much it. Now, if you get the issue where nothing comes up, a lot of the times if you go here, edit locations, make sure this is set to the correct place, because sometimes you may have US states, but you've set it to Europe. So it's like trying to look for that longitude and latitude in Europe, but it doesn't exist. Okay, so just make sure those are set correctly. A combined axis chart. So I'm guessing that's like a bar and a line or something like that. So that's pretty easy. Let's start with sales, right? Like this. And I'm going to add a time period. So let's say order date, quarter, continuous, like this. And I want to do also profit. So I double click.
So now I've got them one on top of the other, and I want them to be different. So if I go here to this profit, I can also click on this. You can see how this is changing. We set this to a bar, and you can see this is different now. And I can actually do a dual axis on this. So I think when they mean combined axis, this is probably more like a dual axis. So if I right click on the second one, dual axis is not on the first, it's always on the second. So dual axis, like this. And you might have this formatting issue, but the first thing you want to do before you start correcting anything a lot of the times is just check that your axes are okay. If they're supposed to be on the same axis, make sure you synchronize and do all that. If you want the black one to be on top, you just reverse the order here. So if I grab this one, bring it here, it brings it on top. And a neat little trick is if you want one to appear as more important, usually it's the line. And come in here, let's just make sure this is set correctly. So let's say apply. Yeah, that's fine. What I tend to do is, let's just increase granularity, is I actually make the blue a lot lighter. So if I go into, I think it's the, what's this one? Profit. So I go profit, color, and then just reduce the opacity. So you can see just by using contrast, I can actually see the orange a lot better. And maybe even a change in color might even be better. Up to you how you go about it. Okay, and that covers the next one, which is a dual axis. And then the next one is a stacked bar chart. So let me show you how you do that. So we're just really just powering through all this. So hopefully this helps you guys. So with a stacked bar chart, what we do is just a simple bar chart to start with. Let's say I got a subcategory like this. And then what makes it a stacked bar is that this bar gets split up into something, right? So let's say I want to know how much is per region. So I actually grab region and drop it into color, right? So you can see that is now stacked one on top of the other, okay? That is your stacked bar. Create a chart to show specific values, crosstab, and highlight table. So I'm guessing that's a heat map. So a crosstab, very easy, is you can start with your dimensions actually in this one. Actually, no, you know what? You can still start with the measure. So let's say we're doing sales. Grab sales and drop it into text. Okay, so you got a value. And now we're going to start splitting it up. So here I can go, well, show me the manufacturer. I can see it's a table. And then something across the top is, let's say we got subcategory, like so. I'll just make this fit with. All right. So that is basically your crosstab. To make it a highlight, you can go here and just select highlight. My problem with that is this, is that sometimes with that automatic function, it starts to alter your structure, which you don't want. So it's good to know how to build it from scratch. The way I do it is if you grab this sum of sales, hold control and drop it into color, right? It colors the text. And then the second step is if you come in here and you switch this to square. That is your heat map, okay? And probably something to show it a little bit better. Let's go state, right? That's your heat map. Now, if you really want to see like a good heat map, a single scale heat map is usually not like super great looking. So if you open this up and you go to something with a bit more contrast, like red or black, right? Reverse this. You can see any fields that are really high, like England is like kind of an outlier. So that's something to consider. Okay, create a visual. Okay, so organizing data, hierarchies, sets, and all that. Okay, filter, add date filter. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. So a visual group, right? I'm guessing some of the terminology here is a little bit different, but let's say I want these ones to be a group, and then, you know, instead of showing them individually, I can create a group. So if I click, let's say this one, and I hold Shift, I can do these ones. Let's say I want to add a few more. I can hold Control, right? And I want to make that a group for whatever reason. I can go here, and I can click this paperclip, or I can right-click and go Group. Same thing, right? And that's going to group them straight away. Then let's say I'm going to do my next group. Group. All right, do my next group. Let's use this one this time. Next group. Okay. And now we're getting to the end. And group. You can see it's all aggregated into those groups, except for some of these. I think I'll scroll down a bit. Like so. So now I've got
6 groups, and you'll also see that this field has now been generated. So I can right click here, edit group, and I can rename these to be, group 1 or group 2, right? And so on and so forth. And then I can also build a hierarchy of this simply by taking the state and province here and dropping it on top of this. Let's try that again, like so. So I've created a hierarchy, right? So the group is higher, followed by that. You also see this plus is there now, which means if I click it, it expands. All right, that's basically your hierarchy. You can also do groups from maps. So let's say I'm doing cities, right? And I'm doing, let's say that's a group, right? And we always do all dimensions. So you can see it's all being colored now. Group. And this also will create a field, like so, and so on and so forth. All right, so you can do groups on all sorts of things. All right, that's your groups. Create a group using labels. So from this, the easiest one maybe to do is country. So let's say I'm doing this. Let's see if I can remember how to do this one. So we go map. So now we got regions. And let's say I'm doing a group for this. Right? Let's say a group for this. And then a group for these two. Okay. So that's a group for the area. But then let's say I want to do a label, a single label for this from memory. I think you just get rid of this one. There you go. So now it's a single continuous region, right? And from there, you can duplicate this into the label and you have just a single label. You just modify this group, right, to modify what's actually in them. I think it's this one actually, right? And then you can give each of these a different name. Okay, so let's do a set now. So from here, we can do a set. So let's go through kind of what a set is. Okay, so a set is really, it's kind of like a group, except you can only have 2 groups, in or out. That's it. So let's say these ones are all in the set, and by implication, that means the rest of them are outside of that set. Okay, so you can see these are all in. We can actually add to this set on the fly. All right, so you can see these are added, and we can remove on the fly. So if I go here, I can go set, remove. Okay, and the cool thing about sets is you can do all sorts of things with them, but you can also group via the sets, right? And as you change them, it will adapt to the set, right? You can see it's adding or removing. Once you get into actions, you can actually control sets dynamically via dashboards and stuff like that. You can do all sorts of crazy creative things. Dimensions to a hierarchy, we've already done that. Add a filter to a view. So let's say I'm filtering subcategory. I can get subcategory, drop it into filters here, and I can filter things in or out. It's pretty easy. Now when it comes to the context filter, it's a little bit more advanced of an idea. So let's say I've got category. Okay, right? The way filters work, without getting into too much detail, is whenever you apply a filter, it always applies it to the entire data set computationally in the backend, right? Which means if I do a change here for 10,000 rows, it's going to do 10,000 checks, right? But let's say I filter my data down. Instead of all 3 of them, let's say technology, and there's only 300 rows of technology. If I go subcategory, right, and I apply a filter, it still has to go through the entire 1,000, right? So the way to get around this from a performance point of view is if you go here and go add to context, what that means is it's sort of like a layer. So if you go technology as part of the context filter now, when you use subcategory, it will only run on the technology data. So it's sort of like a screening stage. Yeah. So we've got that. And because I'm getting a bit tired, and I think a lot of people have taken a break or gone to sleep, we'll probably cut it there. But if anyone is interested in me going through more of these, feel free to reach out and we can go through more. So until then, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm going to have a coffee and maybe a nap. Bye!